Well, hello there, Sam Fisher. Say hello, Will.
I'm making Foxman.
He's making Foxman. It's a new superhero he's come up with. We're sat here having ice pop.
Because
it's
violent vigilante who kills criminals.
A violent vigilante that kills criminals. Ooh.
With guns.
With guns. Don't know where he's got these ideas from. We're sat here in our usual spot that we normally come to during the summer. And some bastard has put that in the way. Bloody sun trap's gone. So I'm now sat here in the shade. Feeling like I should be sat here more in the sun. But no. There's a bloody great warehouse in the way now. Typical. Having an ice pop. Keep cool. Full of questionable things. Only live once. May as well do something dangerous every now and again. So that's why I'm eating the Mr. Freeze. Anyway.
You in the man?
What?
You in the man?
What man?
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. Yeah, Mr. Freeze is a man. He's not a trans man or a trans whatever. Apparently, well, I've just found out a new fact. An Arctic fox's fur changes colour with the seasons. That's amazing, that, isn't it? Just like the amount of things we're going to cover in this video. So, a few things. Well, quite a few, actually. First of all, it's an apology. I made a prediction a while back that something may happen between the 6th and the 24th of June, because I firmly believed that there would. Something that would be pretty world shattering. Thankfully, nothing happened. I like being wrong. Because when I'm right, it means that we're a step closer to the eventual outcome in my head, and I don't like that. So when I'm wrong, take that as a time to celebrate. Feels good. Which may sound bizarre to some people, but it's the way I operate. People don't want to live in they don't want to live with what I have going on in my head. The stuff that I can see looking forward. So yeah, being wrong is a win. Anyway, so that's that out of the way. Next we have the Olympic ceremony, the opening ceremony. Now, this is something else I've said a few times. That if ever you were going to do a very large terrorist attack, you'd likely do it on either the opening ceremony or the closing ceremony, because of all the eyes that would be on it. But it appears the French have done something that no one else expected. And they've pissed off pretty much everyone in the world, so no one's watching the Olympics now. And that's through their insane opening ceremony. I mean, whatever possessed them to parody the Last Supper with a humongous, I'm sure very nice to talk to woman as Jesus, and lots of drag queens and diversity hires as the disciples, followed by what I can only describe as Papa Smurf being served on a silver platter. Now, it's meant to be a depiction of Dionysus, which is another thing that we'll probably get to at another time, and not really a good look either. And then we have one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse being ridden through Paris under the Eiffel Tower, particularly Death riding the pale horse. And I think any terrorist organisation probably looked at that and thought, well, Christ, they've assassinated themselves. We may as well just not bother. Besides, no one's going to watch it anyway. Why? Be pointless. Pardon me. So yeah, the French government have managed to piss off the entire Christian community of the world. And not just the Christians, but to quite a few people surprised. I don't know why, but it's also pissed off much of the Muslim world as well. The reason being is because I think some of them tend to forget that Jesus is actually a pretty relevant figure in Islam. He's actually highly revered. They call him Isa, not Jesus, obviously, because they have to be different. But they consider him a prophet of God, a prophet who God spoke through, pretty much like Muhammad, I suppose. What?
You know Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah.
He's playing Dr.
I know, he's playing Doctor Doom, isn't he? Yeah. Anyway. So yeah. Anyway. Not long after all this debacle with the opening ceremony, the Iranian government summoned the French ambassador to go and see the to go speak to the parliament basically and apologise profusely. So yeah. Not only have they managed to piss off one religion that they normally put for that anyway, but they've pissed off two, and one of them is more vocal and a bit more exploding when it comes to matters such as this. And I think I've kind of put the wind up them, because all of a sudden companies that have sponsored the Olympics are pulling out, citing the opening ceremony and the insult that they've done to Christianity as being the reason. And all the videos of it now have been taken down. So they're trying to cover it up now, which is great. Shows that you truly stand by your word and your work, really, doesn't it? Taking it down. Ah. But talking in the Muslim world, that was one good thing that happened, I suppose. Kind of brought us all together. But not for very long it would appear. Because in the same day, there was a British Army Lieutenant Colonel that was stabbed outside of his barracks over 70 times by some immigrant that was part of Anjam Chowdhury's mosque, and it's believed to be revenge for what he did for us, basically kicking him out of the country, deporting him. Which is about fucking time, really. Don't know what he was still doing here. So yeah, this guy decided he was going to take it out on the first soldier that he saw. So he went to a barracks, saw the first soldier that he saw, ran up to him and started stabbing him. And this guy managed to get to his doorway of his house, which was just across the road, fortunately. And this guy carried on, and then he was taken down. In Manchester Airport, the same day, I think it's a Muslim family, 2 guys and 2 women. They could have been married to each other, they could have been sisters, brothers, I don't know. Anyway, I don't really care, to be honest. But apparently there was a few incidents, not just on the plane, at the terminal, but also in the terminal, and then at the Amtrak station on the way out. So these armed police who were called in went over to go and ask them if they could search them and have a few words. And these gentlemen took a bit of offence to that and decided to launch an attack at them and absolutely leathered these poor women, police women. Now these were armed police who were trying to take the weapons. This is another thing, don't forget that.
Dad?
What? Yeah, okay. Right? Don't forget that part. These were armed police who were trying to take the weapons, yeah? Now, What happened after was during this altercation, a male officer comes in and tasers one of them as he's got one of these women, like women officers in a chokehold. When he falls to the floor, he says something to him, I'm not entirely sure, but this copper walks over and in the heat of the moment, stamps on his head and kicks him in the head. Yeah. Now, remember, these are armed police, right? This is a heat of the moment thing where weapons were nearly taken. Yeah. They could have opened fire on everybody, yeah, around in that area. To ensure his dominance, yeah, this officer chose to kick him in the head to say, like, behave yourself. Again, fair enough. These Muslim guys were lucky they didn't get shot. Right? They really were. But then for some reason, the only footage that's released is the footage of the cop kicking this guy in the head. And all of a sudden these two, we'll call them grifters because that's what they are, basically, these two Muslim guys, were then trying to make a case of it, playing the victim as they normally do, getting these police officers fired. It started getting other people not involved in it, yeah, as always, but a Bolton, I think is an imam, I think, maybe, I'm not entirely sure, saying that they were going to have massive protests on the street if these officers weren't arrested and then suspended. And basically, it was a threat. Nothing happened to this guy, by the way, right? But the Greater Manchester Police capitulated and suspended this officer. The next day, the full video, right, CCTV video of what actually happened came out. There has not been one single apology from any of the instigators involved. Remember, these are part of the Muslim community, right? But they're also immigrants, I believe. No apology from them whatsoever. No repercussions for these people either. This is the problem I'm having. I'm really having. Because there should have been. Those Muslim men should have been arrested. Detained at least. Charged. At least with something. Cautioned, anything. For what they did. If it was someone like me, or my son, that did that, yeah, that happens to us, we get arrested straight away. So why has nothing happened to them? The state of this nation is disgusting. It really is. It drives you demented. It really does. The way the native population are treated as second class, even third class citizens, really, is ridiculous. So naturally, there was a protest outside Downing Street. Not just for them, but for the arrest of Tommy Robinson as well. Now, I don't agree with everything Tommy Robinson says. I'm a bit dubious about some of his associations as well, but at the end of the day, he's probably one of the few people that are actually speaking out about what's been happening in a lot of the towns and cities to do with the rape of teenage girls and everything else and the grooming gangs and whatnot. He's the only one that's actually speaking out about that, or at least gets enough of a media profile. So to have him arrested on terrorism charges was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. Now, yeah, so I've heard he's basically breached the conditions of the libel case against him, but at the end of the day, those judges were paid off that actually turned around and said that what was said in the documentary that he showed was libelous. Well, as far as I can tell, no, it weren't. It's 100% true, 100% factual. It's just that it exposes the justice system in this country. And that's what they didn't like. Well, they took him in on terrorism charges. Why is that? Because they had a very successful peaceful protest the day before. Could that be it? Him showing that documentary? It's a film, for God's sake. Now, yeah, sometimes films can be very inflammatory and cause quite a lot of incitement, but that's not what happened. That wasn't its intention either, I don't think. So you've got to ask why. Well, they don't like it when we start answering back, when we start fighting back. We start demanding things for us. Because then they have to show themselves actually doing something. Or giving the impression they're going to do something and then do absolutely nothing like they normally do. It kind of saddens me, it does. But it's also, I think, opened a lot of people's eyes, and now they're basically not going to put up with it anymore. So you can probably expect a lot more protests. Peaceful, like I said. It's the only way we can be. Because then it shows the other side how it should be done. What?
There won't be a 3 year. There won't be 3 years.
Yeah, apparently something on the news has been saying we've only got 3 years left. Well, that's bollocks. Just shut up. So, what else has been happening? Well, a few other things. My next episode of Epics Wars and Maybe Alien Tech will be out probably middle of next month. I'm taking my time with this one because this next one will be a lot longer, and I'm going to have to split it up into about 3 episodes, I think, just on on this next bit alone, because there's a heck of a lot to get through, and addressing some of the opinions, shall we say, that people decided they were going to foist on me. Apparently I'm racist. No. For what I said about white people and black people being essentially a separate species, a subspecies of hominid. We are. In fact, I may as well just get this out of the way now, so I don't need to do it next episode, alright? Well, this is why.
In West Africa, which are comprised of admixture from what scientists are calling a ghost species, because it has not yet been identified in the fossil record, but has been shown through DNA sequencing to be much older than Neanderthal or Denisovans, giving it the label of super archaic, since it is so far removed from modern humans. West Africans have been shown to contain from 2 to 20% genetics from this super archaic hominin species, which likely is either Homo erectus or Homo habilis, and is not found in the DNA of Caucasians, Asians, or any other non-African demographic. Since the DNA admixture is from 2 to 20%, scientists sometimes average this in the middle and say 11%.
We call it a ghost population because this is not a population which we have identified based on any fossil evidence. And what we find is this model, which has a ghost introgressing into the African population does explain this conditional site frequency spectrum. We also looked at other models of introgression. Maybe this is not really a ghost, maybe it's the Neanderthals coming back together and mixing. Turns out, again, we can reject this. It doesn't fit our data, and we can reject this model at a fairly stringent p-value. And one of the interesting aspects of this is this was a population that split off prior to Neanderthals splitting off from modern humans. So it's a fairly old population. And almost 11% of the ancestry of Africans comes from this ghost archaic population. So compared to the 2% or the 3% attributable to Neanderthals and Denisovans. So this had a fairly big impact in terms of how much ancestry comes from this population.
Additional research covering high coverage whole genome sequences of 15 sub-Saharan African hunter-gatherer males shows signs that the ancestors of the hunter-gatherers interbred with one or more archaic human populations probably around 40,000 years ago, suggesting that the archaic African population and modern humans diverged around 1.2 to 1.3 million years ago. In addition, protein in the saliva of certain African populations, such as the Yoruba tribe, shows evidence that a species of archaic humans contributed DNA into their gene pool, pointing to an extinct group of archaic humans which appear to have contributed DNA into the gene pool of modern populations in West Africa. In other words, sub-Saharan Africans could not possibly have populated or turned into Europeans. They did not leave Africa and magically mutate 35,000 years ago, as they carry archaic DNA not found in the genome of Cro-Magnons. In fact, the evidence suggests things happened the other way around, where Cro-Magnon, fully modern, carrying some Neanderthal admixture, entered into Africa, mated with archaic species, which, as I said earlier, are 1.2 to 1.3 million years diverged from modern humans, crossbred with archaic hominids such as Homo erectus, which is now considered extinct, but who live on in the hybridized genetics of modern sub-Saharan Africans who have a greater cranial capacity today than Homo erectus had, thanks to this hybridization. Although hardly publicized by the Western media, there's more published scientific research refuting the out-of-Africa replacement model, showing that sub-Saharan Africans did not leave Africa within the past 60,000 years to populate the world, giving rise to other races. And in fact, it was quite the opposite, where fully modern humans entered into Africa, interbreeding with super archaic hominin species inside of Africa, giving rise to the modern sub-Saharan populations that still reside there today, that never left except through the relatively recent slave trade. The modern out-of-Africa argument really began in the 1970s, before scientists had the luxury of a fully sequenced human genome to compare to sequenced archaic hominin genomes, and was strictly based on a limited and poorly translated fossil record.
You see, out of Africa is dead. Yeah, that's not how things happened. I think that's pretty damn clear now. We basically evolved on two different species trees, if you get what I mean. Yeah, we're still the same kind of, I've forgotten the word for it now, genus, I suppose. Yeah, just like orangutans and gorillas are a different species but same genus. Yeah, big apes. Yeah, well, chimpanzees and bonobos are completely different. Yeah, they may look the same but completely different species altogether. It's the same with us. Yeah. We evolved from one tree, they evolved, like black people evolved from another tree, Asian people evolved from their own. But from different hominid species. Now yeah, we can interbreed, but that's just a perk of being the same sort of genus, I suppose. Anyway. So that's that out of the way. Next thing. Oh yeah. I've been having some spats on Twitter, I mean X, Twitter, X, whatever. That platform. Elon Musk one. Some quite, chopped it all down, what's going on? Some quite, not heated, just, well not on my part anyway. I was just pointing out BS when I saw it. Because it's an immense pet peeve of mine, I suppose. Something that really aggravates me. Alright, mate. Yeah, that's bad. Oh, I missed it. Yeah. Especially when you start talking about, well, showing ridiculous things like these, yeah? What you're seeing in the background is something that someone posted claiming to be evidence of Tartaria. And when I pointed out that it was a sewer, they were a bit silent about it. Apart from a couple of people that were trying to tell me that it wasn't a sewer, there were tunnels. No, it's a sewer. I think you can clearly see that. Give me a minute. This next one is another account that were trying to say they have 4 mile long routes. Well, they found 4 mile long route system beneath the Devil's Tower in Wyoming. Obviously, it's bullshit. Yeah, it's absolute crap. There's been no such discovery made. The guy made it all up. But these two are an example of everything. I mean, everything that is wrong with the truth/alternative research field, yeah, and movement. If accounts like these, people like these, that come up with and spread very obvious bollocks that people, for some reason, actually take on board. Like I said in my post that I did on X, Twitter, whatever, people need to start thinking. Need to start doing just a tiny bit of digging. Doesn't take much. A couple of clicks on the internet, that's it. To debunk half the stuff that's on there. But start thinking and stop taking things at face value and believing bullshit. Like another channel that I've heard a lot of on TikTok, question everything. It's true. Yeah, that's what you want to do, including me. Don't take everything I say at face value. If you disagree, we'll talk about it. If you change my mind, change my mind. Well, the better for it then, aren't we? Anyway, like, share, subscribe.
This has got a new logo.
This has got a new logo. You know, Joe, I'll see you later.